Yeah, so my background, I was a professor of exercise science until Ironman, I guess, went full time. I was teaching at the university in Storm Lake, Iowa at Buena Vista, and then I was doing triathlon as a hobby, and then triathlon started to become a little bit more serious. I was racing as a quasi-pro starting in 2014, and then ended up winning Chattanooga at the end of Ironman Chattanooga at the end of 14, and then coming back and winning the North American Championship at Ironman Texas in 2015. And so that's when I decided that I needed to be able to look back and know rather than look back and wonder what if. And so I was less than 6 months away from tenure at the university and pulled the pin and started chasing the dream of being a world champion. So it definitely wasn't the smoothest transition or as smooth of transition as I thought it would be. I crashed in Kona in 2015 and then came back to Ironman Texas in 2016 and was in a podium spot and told my body I had one more push to go. I could see second place about 10 seconds in front of me with 2 miles left. And I said, I have one more push. And my body said, no, you don't. And I dropped. So I ended up laying on the side of the road, hugging a 2-liter bottle of Coke for about 20 minutes with 2 miles to go, which was great. But yeah, so, the first year after I made that transition, I really struggled. I just wasn't having the results that I thought I would have. I didn't have the, continue the upward trajectory. And after crashing out of Ironman Cairns and getting on a 20-some hour flight home from there, it was a lot of reflection time. And I kind of came to realize that my process had changed. It was no longer, I was doing this as a stress release. I was doing it to see how good could be, or to what I could push myself to. I was now doing it to make a living. And I was putting that pressure on myself, and it was just affecting my mindset, and it wasn't as fun. And so, I was able to thankfully make a shift. I basically stopped thinking about my training and came to the job. My job as an athlete is to execute workouts and trust that my coaches are doing the right things. And, you have to earn that trust. But really that's my approach still. I analyze the workouts that I've done afterwards into minute details, but I really don't look too much at the grand picture, or, I don't look at the hours of week or month that I'm training really at all. That's just not something that I want to, before that I was becoming too engrossed with it. So that's helped a lot. I can just shut I have time where I'm 100% focused on me during training, and then I shut that off and I'm able to focus on my coaching and writing coaching plans and things like that, and just kind of have more of a balance, which has been really helpful. Throughout the career, I've had some races that I've done really well at historically. Ironman Texas is one. Coeur d'Alene, both Coeur d'Alene distances have been good to me. I think the biggest thing for Ironman Texas for me was just a comfort of being there. When I went, that's where I got my pro card, or earned my pro card in 2013. Coeur d'Alene for Ironman, my first real triathlon, I always say. And so that's made a big difference as well. And then, again, just had good experiences there, and it just helps you go in relaxed. And anytime you can reduce stress leading on race week, it's a good thing. Yeah, the wind tunnel was a great experience and a great trip. And so, I mean, when I went there, I spent half a day just getting a bike fit and making sure that I was able to produce power with that fit. Then I went into the tunnel to tinker just with the fit alone. Then I rode outside in that position, did a couple really hard rides just to make sure that I could be comfortable in that position and be able to hold the position and things like that. Then we went back into the tunnel. I guess in the morning on the Monday, we did a bunch of physiological testing. And then in that position. And then the second afternoon was where we really went and refined equipment, bottle placement, and things like that. And so that's really when the OwnWay side of things came into the tunnel, was on the last half day that I had there. You know, we were able to learn a ton, and I was able to share that with Chris and Erica, which was great, and just to see how they use that data to adjust things moving forward, and to just show that, you know, how their brand was currently stacking up against some of the others that are throwing a lot of dollars into the advertising, at least. And you know, I've you know, the data doesn't lie, and when you're able to, you know, test against 6 other brands and come out with the suit that you're currently in being the fastest one, that's pretty good, you know, pretty reassuring. You know, I've been with OwnWay for I think 4 years now as well, and you know, they're a smaller company, but the results that they're getting were showing to be better, which is great. So that was really reassuring for me, and it just went to help me understand that the process that my partner was going through was the right one, and they're going about it the way that I wanted to be going about it. And that's, you know, first and foremost, producing the fastest suits possible. And you know, that's always the hard thing when I'm racing and I have a team, is, you know, first I need to be able to back it and be able to you know, wear the equipment or use the equipment myself. And so that's the first thing that I look for when I'm trying to develop a partnership. And so that was, again, just further proof that I'm in the right kit. And then from there, it's okay, great. Now how can we bring this into the team? Yeah. So obviously, the kit is going to make a big difference, but it's also how you fit on the bike might affect the kit as well, because of just, you know, the more forward your shoulders are, the more, you know, scrunched up some of the kits got. And so the more and more aero that I got, so we kind of tested a few kits. We actually tested a couple kits the very last thing of day 1, and then the very last thing of day 2 as well. And the numbers were different, but that's because the position was a little bit different. So the more aggressive you got, the more the kit made a difference, the more the cut of the kit specifically made a difference. In around the shoulders becomes more and more important. And that's, you know, definitely where they got it right. And, you know, Matt was quite shocked. You know, he didn't know OwnWay, and you know, he's been in a different brand for years and years and years, and they've spent hours and hours developing their product in the tunnel. And the fact that the OwnWay kit, you know, was you know, right on with them, and even a couple watts faster in a couple of the last tests, he was just like, yeah, you no need to change. So yeah, it was good. For me, the difference between a 70.3 and an Ironman, those are the only 2 races that I do. My kit's going to be the same.
Okay.
And, you know, the other difference with sprint and Olympic is you might even be more aggressive with your position, because you don't have to hold it for 4 hours. So if you're more aggressive, then, you know, that might affect things a little bit as well. But, you know, I just tested it in the position that I was going after. You know, the more skin you have covered, if it's a good fabric, the faster it's going to be. And, you know, also I get sunburned really easy. And so I like the sleeves. I don't have the, you know, the sunburn tattoos all summer long. One huge difference is the chamois is, you know, especially for long course racing, you can if you're not able to sit in the saddle for 4 hours in your aero position because things start going numb, that's not helping anybody. You know, if you can't feel your feet when you get off the bike, you're not going to run well. And so that they've done a lot to make sure that that is never an issue. But it's not so thick that it's going to affect the way that you run. Obviously, it'd be great to have the same one that you would use in a bike, or on a bike race or something like that, but you can't do that because you have to be able to run a marathon afterwards. So that part, it's kind of a fine balance between comfort and on the bike and comfort while you're running. And I think they've definitely nailed that. And I've definitely been in kits where that hasn't been right, for sure. And that's never fun. I wrestled. I was a wrestler from the time I was 5 till up through college. So that's helped and hurt me in a number of sense. Actually, I came to triathlon because when I was 16, one of my wrestling mentors challenged me to make a list of 50 goals for the next 10 years. And for whatever reason, doing an Ironman was one of those goals. No idea why. So when I was 25, I looked at that list again and said, oh, I've got a year to do an Ironman. I should probably buy a bike, learn how to swim. And so that's how I got to the sport. Obviously the wrestling mindset, mental toughness is a huge part of it. And you have to have a lot of it to go through that, especially in the later high school and in the college years. Cause especially when you look like me, you get beat. I didn't really have I don't think I was ever stronger than the person I was wrestling. So I got, beat up a little bit and just had to make it to the third period when I could tire them down and hopefully come through in the end. But that definitely has helped in a number of ways. Goal setting was the first thing that I learned in the sport, and that's been huge throughout my entire life. The mental side of it was also very important. Being comfortable being uncomfortable is kind of a mantra that I use with myself, and then obviously with a lot of the people that I'm coaching, to just kind of try to help them learn to understand that it's okay being in a place where you're hurting. Yeah, I mean, I've made a career off the run. At least the early part of my career, I've become a little bit more balanced, in the last couple of years. But yeah, early on, the run was what gave me any sort of success. I just kind of felt like if I was within 15 minutes getting off the bike, that I had a pretty good shot at at least getting on the podium when I was first starting out. And so that's what kind of allowed me to make a career in this sport early on. To be honest, I enjoy the swim and the bike training a lot more than I enjoy the run training. The run training, it's hard to, I'm going after seconds, in the run, whereas in the bike, I'm cutting minutes off in a lot of senses. And in the swim, I was definitely had a long ways to go from where I started early on. And so, seeing improvement in both of those, even still, has been a lot more fun. I've kind of fallen back in love with running again the last couple of months, just because when I got the stress fracture in my sacrum before Kona last year, I couldn't run for almost 4 months. And so, I was getting to the point where I was completely sick of it, and every run I was doing, for almost 18 months was painful, or I was fighting it and was too stubborn to realize that there was something going on. And then my body said, okay, well, you're not going to stop. I'm going to make you stop. And the injury came, and we got things sorted out, and now running's pain-free again and a lot more fun. So so it's been, I'm enjoying the balance training again, which is good. So obviously this is a very difficult time and not one that anybody really anticipated. And, we're all in this sport because we love to race. And But I've always said that for me, I'll know when it's time to give it up, or time to no longer do this, when the process is no longer fun. And, I love preparing day in and day out. I love going to work. Yeah, not every day. Like there's going to be times when I just don't feel like doing it that day. But right now, those days are few and far between. And, as long as the good days are outnumbering the bad, then I'm doing something right. And so, that's kind of how I'm trying to stay in it. I'm viewing this as an opportunity. I'm in a small town in Iowa in Storm Lake, and I've got pool space, and I can, bike and run as normal. I don't have access to a track right now, but my block's 810 meters, so that works great, and it's pretty flat. So I can train everything but the gym as per normal. And so I'm looking at this as an opportunity to really refine and work on some of the things that were weaknesses in the past, or the low-hanging fruit, and go after those. And so and then just do things that I haven't done before. I came out to Boulder this week, and we just did a bike push just for fun. And we went, the goal was 1,000 kilometers or 620 miles in the week. And, we got that, and it was a lot of fun. And, they were mostly just relaxed, enjoying, miles where we had a group of, 6 to 8 of us that were out there every day and just enjoying the company, and, ride kind of with somebody somebody different every day, and just get to chat and catch up, which is a lot of fun. And yeah, so the cinnamon roll challenge was Tim O'Donnell's idea. Monday, we were all riding together and talking about the rides that we're doing for the week. And on Friday, we did Big Thompson, and he's like, there's this place about 2.5 miles from the very top that has these amazing cinnamon rolls. And Justin's like, oh yeah, we got to stop there. And Tim's like, wouldn't it be fun if we just stopped there and raced eating a cinnamon roll and then time trialing it up to the top and just see how fast, and, then we were making like beer mile rules where if you puked, you had to go back down and start over. And just to have some fun. Yeah, so we got up there, you climb for over an hour, and then you've got about 10 hard minutes of climbing, or 15 minutes easy of climbing when you get to that last stop. And so we stopped, we got our cinnamon rolls, we raced, and I was one of the slowest eating, but thankfully I made up for it on the bike and was able to get to the top first. I think 3 years ago, I one of the team shirts that I made, on the back, it was "Know Your Why," and that's anytime you're struggling, if you don't know why you're there, you're not going to you're not going to be able to push through that. And whether that's during a race when you've got 10 miles left on the marathon and you're really, really uncomfortable and you don't know why you're there, it's easy to just mail it in or phone it in. And that's with training. If you're going a week or two and you're just like, why am I doing this? I don't have a race. Why am I, if you don't know why you're doing it or what you're training for, it's going to be pretty hard. And that's always my go-to. Every time I do a pro panel, they ask for my biggest piece of advice. And that's always my advice is know your why. That it goes back to the knowing why you do that. And for some people, they're doing it to be healthy. For some people, they're doing it for the social aspect, and for other people, they're doing it for the performance aspect. And those people who really rely on the performance aspect, you just have to be creative. And so I've coached a guy who has done, he definitely loves the performance and working to try to make himself better. And he's done an all-out 5K solo, all-out 10K solo, and months apart. And and a half marathon. He did an Everest challenge last week. Wow. He PR'd in a 10K by himself. And so he's able to. It's like, okay, I've got this opportunity. We're not. I'm not letting these other races get in the way of, that I can't do. It's not getting in the way of me going after this 10K. And, so for the performance aspect, or the people who love that performance side, being creative, having these challenges, me personally, I did my first ever solo 40K TT, and I'm going to do another one next, just to, find ways to push yourself. The pros have done some pro racing on Zwift. I've done some team events on Zwift and on Ruby and things like that, so to try to cover the performance side of things, to try to cover the social things. We've done some happy hours on Zoom and things like that, and played some games. We made some trivia trivia Quizlet things for the team. Done that type of thing. So it's really trying to make sure that we are meeting everybody's needs. Whether it's the performance or the fitness or the social side of things, even with the the limitations that we have. For me, the virtual racing has been a way to just keep things different, fun. I did the Zwift Pro Tri Series, and you've got a bunch of triathletes racing crit style, which is totally different for me. Was I stressed that I wasn't being in the top every time? Absolutely not. It was just a different way to push myself and just, again, have fun and try to become a better athlete and more rounded. And that's what it is. Obviously I want to get back to real racing. I hope the results will be a little bit better for me once we do that. But in the meantime, it's just making the best of the situation, keeping things, fun and again, keep going back to, what you need out of the sport, why you're there, and then trying to find the way, whatever that why is, trying to find a means of going after that, even if it's, not possible due to, the typical means wouldn't be possible due to COVID. Can't go race, can't, doing these huge group rides aren't there, but we can try to do the next best thing with Zwift. And then, I've Zoomed some Zwift time so we can talk while we're riding, and so it's closer to normal anyways.
Yeah.
I mean, Zwift isn't going anywhere. The electronic racing or that type of thing isn't going anywhere. For so many people are pushing indoors just for safety measures and things like that for their training. Plus, it's efficient. You can go out. All you have to do is throw a pair of bibs on, grab a water bottle, and you can do an hour ride in about an hour and 2 minutes. Where if you have to go outside, you might have to pump tires, grease your chain, get out, ride through stop signs. So, not that that's a bad thing, but, some people who are time pressed, you can do it when it's dark. And so, yeah, it's not going to go anywhere. As far as the racing, obviously there's issues with like, some trainers are going to read higher and lower and things like that. And so, obviously it would be great if they could find a way to standardize that to make it, 100% fair. But, for the time being, I think it's pretty good the way it is. Obviously, from the cycling and the triathlon side of things, you guys have a huge store. I've appreciated, like you said, you guys started really focusing on race performance, and I think even just the bike kits that you have or that you first had were amazing. For someone who like me who loves the performance aspect, but then like. Some of the people on the team maybe like more, wanted a little bit more of a comfort feel where they, are able to wear it, even on some of the race side of things, so that, they're wearing it for a little bit longer than I am, for example. And so like, after speaking with Erica, they came out with a fit that, a lot of it was the sleeves were really tight, which I love, but a lot of people didn't. And so they, now have that performance side, and then the more comfort fitted one as well, which has been great. That was a change, I think, this last year, and had a lot of really good feedback from that. The team seems to have liked the addition of the swimsuits.
Oh, yeah.
which was good. But yeah, I think, developing some gym and, run specific stuff, continuing to develop that is good. I'm always on the hunt for a really good pair of running shorts would be good. On the gym side of things, we're, yeah, we're realizing more and more how important that is, to fit into your daily routine, and especially just for maintenance. You don't have to be, trying to bulk up or anything like that. But, if I learned anything from the last the injury that I had, it was, I need to make sure that the daily maintenance is a priority. And so literally that's the first thing I do in the morning, it is, get my body moving well and feeling well. And so, gym clothes is, before triathlons, triathletes, I don't have time to go to the gym, but now it's, you can get anything for your home. And so that's definitely, yeah, the team has really appreciated that. Anytime I get a request, for an item, it's in the shop or in the team store the next time we do it, which has been great. Having that one place where you can go and really get any of the apparel needs that you have, for triathlon met has been really helpful. Even some of the hard items, like, they've added some of the mugs and water bottles and things like that I have on my website, but they've just added it to the team store, for me, and that's made things helpful and easier on my end as well. So it's really, from the design process, I've got like a little branding exercise that I put together that has my colors and has, what I'm looking for. I send that to the designer, and then, they give me, some ideas and options, and then we just go from there. Then as soon as we start on a tri kit or a bike kit, and then as soon as that's developed, it's just implemented into all the other, things, from a, mechanic shirt, which has been there for a couple of years. But, my wife just got a new, I don't know what's a sundress or to wear at the races. When she's on the support crew, there's support crew type things, just casual t-shirts, things like that. Which just, when you have that type of thing, it helps build that community within the team. I love when I'm out on rides, seeing people wearing the same kit that I am, or my team kit, or when I'm in a race on a multi-loop course. I was here at Boulder, and I think I scared one of my athletes to death because I was, on the second loop and passed him on the bike course, and I just screamed, great looking kid or something like that as I went by. And, that stuff, I love that. And, I think that's really helped my team, meet each other at races when they see, oh, you're wearing the same t-shirt I am, you're the same team shirt. Like, it's just helped people connect, and you're in a sea of 2,000 people in a race, and to see people, on the same team as you has been helpful. My sister was wearing the team kit in one of the races that we were both doing, and that's how she found out that I won. She's like, "Oh, your coach just won." She's like, "Actually, it's my brother." So,
Oh, wow.
it's been fun. It's hard to explain how much of a difference like that shared thing can make, and you might not even know it.